What is going on, JUVY listeners? We're back with another JUVY Saturday for you guys. Extra excited for this one. You guys are almost on summer break, and this episode kind of gives off like summer vibes in a
Yeah.
way. But before Josh lets you know who we're talking with, if you guys are watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. If you guys aren't subscribed, like, comment, share this video with a friend. And if you guys are listening on any of the audio platforms, the number one way to support us is downloading and leaving a review. So go do that. Who are we talking with today?
Today we are talking with a very cool, very unique TikTok creator who is sailing the world right now, Sailor Boy Finn. How you doing?
I'm doing great, guys. Thank you.
Of course, man.
Yeah.
Also, for everyone listening on audio, there might be a little bit of delay. That is because Finn is in a completely different part of the world than us and a completely different time zone. Finn, why don't you tell them where you're at right now?
I am currently in the Seychelles, east coast of Africa, a little group of islands. Absolutely stunning place. You have to visit it.
That's so cool. So when did you start sailing?
Me and my family started sailing back in 2016, and we've been doing it ever since.
That's crazy.
That's a long
So that's
time.
almost like 6-7 years now. That's insane.
Yeah, 6 years.
That's crazy. So I saw Finn on TikTok, of
Yep.
course, how we find a lot of our guests. And he was talking about like all the coolest things to do on a ship, and then he just jumped off. And I was like, dude, if I can get this kid on the podcast, I would
Yep.
be nuts. And so I DM'd him, and sure enough, we are here. So you've been sailing for 6 years now. So how old are you right now?
I turned 16 in June, so currently 15 years old.
So you started when you were like 9?
Yeah.
9.
That's crazy. So what is life like living on a boat? Like how different is it to living in a house?
It has its pros and its cons. A lot of pros, a lot of cons. It's very different. It gets repetitive after doing it for 6 years. It gets very repetitive, and it makes you think, would it be better off to just live in a house? But it's definitely an experience I think everyone should do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I think maybe repetitive would have been the last thing I would think, because like you're traveling all over the world. So
Yeah.
what part of it do you feel like gets repetitive?
Well, after seeing over 40 countries, you kind of realize that everybody is the same. Everybody's got the same goal in life, and the only different thing about each country is the way it looks, really.
Well,
That's interesting.
that's a good perspective to have.
Totally.
Obviously people are going to be different, but like in reality, you've either got lower class places or higher built up places like Sydney, Australia, big cities, the Seychelles, super small, just, you know what I'm trying to say, right?
Totally.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
So when you started sailing, where did you leave from? Like where were you living prior?
So up until we moved on to the sailboat, we were living in Dallas, Texas, and that's where I lived all my life. Didn't do very much traveling then, hardly any. And then, 2016, my dad decided to sell nearly everything we owned, buy a sailboat in Florida, Fort Lauderdale, and we only planned to do it for about a year, and now we're on year 6.
What did 9-year-old Finn say when his dad was like, "Hey guys, so we're just gonna sell everything and get a boat and sail"? Like, what were the first thoughts going through your head then?
I couldn't I don't, if I look back now, I don't think I comprehended what it meant to live on a sailboat. I guess I just thought we were going out for a few months, cruise to the Caribbean, and that was going to be it. And yeah.
Clearly wasn't.
Yeah, honestly.
6 years later and 40 countries later.
What do you do for entertainment when you're just like sailing all day, all night? Like, well, I guess not. I guess you're probably not sailing throughout the night, but like, what do you do for entertainment when you're just sailing in the middle of the ocean?
Entertainment. There's a few things you can do. You get really creative out here when you spend at least 20 days out in the middle of the ocean with no internet. You really develop all these skills. I learned how to play guitar. I've become a pretty good Call of Duty player against bots, of course. I've really developed a lot of skills just because of so much free time. That's one thing that you have so much of is time. Time.
So do you get bored a lot?
Oh, yeah. I hardly did anything today. That's why I like TikTok. Getting into TikTok is really created great ambition for me. I feel like I have a bigger purpose now because right before I started TikTok, I was getting like I was in a pretty bad mindset, and yeah, I didn't really want to sail anymore. But now I got TikTok, and it's like I got this whole new group of people to inspire. It's fun.
So if you guys don't know, I think you're over 250,000 followers on TikTok. You've got a whole audience that really just follows what you do. Now, when did you start on TikTok?
About 3 months ago, January, I started.
Wow. So you really picked up really quick then.
Yeah, not as quick as some people I've seen, but definitely quicker than I thought I would.
Yeah.
Quicker than us, my friend.
Yeah,
We've been
definitely.
doing this over a year and we're at 60K. So you're in a fortunate position there. That's crazy.
Yeah. What was the first video that made you go viral? Like, what was your start on TikTok?
I started off making videos telling people that I live on a sailboat so I could get my message out there and just show the world. And I think my first viral video probably was at 100K views, and I was like, what? That's insane. And that was just a video of me telling my story. Like, hey, I'm 15 years old, I'm sailing around the world, and I've been doing it for 6 years.
Totally.
Get that deal?
Yeah, I mean that's a great way to
Yeah.
start a video.
And now I'm kind of shifting over to make a personal connection with my audience, make them know who I am, and really build that relationship. So if I move away from sailing, I still have an audience who likes me for who I am, you know?
Totally,
Definitely.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, you're killing it. I've seen your videos pop up on my For You page a lot, and it makes me very jealous of these cool stuff you're doing, like jumping off boats in the middle of the night, all this fun stuff.
Actually, Josh would not do that. We were talking about this.
If I was sailing with you and you were like, hey, let's jump off at midnight, then I would. But the ocean at night scares me so bad.
Dude, I'm honestly like, I'd just be like scared of like something just like grabbing my foot. Like,
Yeah.
that's like, how's that like, that's gotta have crossed your mind. But you're probably so used to it at this point that like you don't even think twice, right?
Yeah, yeah.
He's like, yeah, honestly, you guys sound
I
like a
don't
bunch of
know
wimps
anything
here.
else.
What has been like the craziest thing you've seen in like the middle of the ocean?
I've seen whales. I've seen dolphins. We've caught fishing nets on our propellers. We've caught some massive fish. We've torn sails. A lot has happened. Seen some pretty big waves. Seen a lot of fish. A lot of fish.
So okay, this is actually something we were talking about before the episode.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say nothing out of the ordinary.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
obviously.
I mean, yeah. I mean, other than like everything.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Okay, so we were talking about this before. Now, is the boat you're on like just have sails, or does it also have like a motor for emergency, or like just a motor in general?
So I think every boat in the world that is over at least 15 feet has a motor. You can't really do much without a motor because the wind is super inconsistent. I mean, it's not inconsistent depending on where you're at. But every boat has a motor, and we probably motor 60-70% of the time, and we're sailing with the motors on or without them because, yeah, we're not true sailors, I would think, but...
Now, did your dad have any experience in sailing before he decided to sail around the world? Oh my gosh, bro.
No, none.
And
That's crazy. So how have you survived for 6 years? Like, did you just develop this experience on your own?
We took lessons. Obviously, we're not cuckoo. We took lessons back in Florida, 2016. We had a captain on our boat for about 3 days, and then we were off like that. We were just so eager to get out there, and yeah, then everything just comes natural. You just learn, you make mistakes, get back up, do it again.
totally.
Yeah.
But if my dad were to come to me and be like, "Hey, so we're gonna train for a few days and sail around the world," I'd be like, "Man, I think you might be a little bit crazy."
Definitely.
But you must have just had a lot of trust in your dad. Now, you've seen some big waves, so this brings up the question: has there ever been a thought that like the boat was gonna flip? I don't know. That probably sounds like a noob question. Like, why is he asking that? But I honestly just want to know, like, could your boat actually flip?
Our boat, I don't think this boat here could flip unless it was a tsunami or something very big. So what I'm on is a catamaran. It's got two holes. Holes are, I guess, just sides of the boat, which makes it kind of like a square, very stable boat. A lot more comfortable than a monohull. A monohull is a one-hold boat. Most common sailboats look like that, and those can flip a lot easier.
Gotcha. Wow.
Yeah, I guess it's harder
Yeah,
to
no, I
flip a
I
boat
don't
when
think
there's
I've ever-
two sides.
So like, have you ever been like just like sleeping and all of a sudden you like fly out of your bed because like you hit a big wave or something?
No, that doesn't happen.
Oh, really? Because actually, in sixth grade, this is totally a sidetrack joke. In sixth grade, so we had like a science field trip. Anyways, we were in San Francisco, and like we stayed on like a huge like ship that like it was like a massive ship. It's just docked, like they don't take it out anymore. Anyways, dude, I just remember like the beds were like super uncomfortable, but I'm sure like your bed is like looks pretty comfortable. I've seen it in TikTok, so like you're just sleeping fine during the night.
Yeah, I sleep pretty good.
Does it get like freezing cold depending where you're at? Because I feel like it would get so cold on a boat. I mean, I'm sure you guys have heating.
We have heating. We have heating. Along with air coolant, air conditioning. Um, yeah, you have blankets obviously, but we going in colder places requires. I mean, depending. I mean, obviously, when I say colder places, I'm talking about Antarctica, like freezing negative temperature waters. That requires a different kind of boat, an aluminum hull, which is metal essentially, and then yeah, no, it never really gets too cold unless you're sleeping outside.
Yeah, so okay, so I saw on your Instagram. So now, does every night are you guys anchored? Because like you're not sailing throughout the night, right?
No. So if we're staying in a place for a while, we can anchor, or we can what's called a mooring ball, which is just similar to anchoring. And then there's marinas, but we do sail. We do sail during the night. That is a very common thing that happens. I have night shifts. My night shift goes from 12 to 3 in the middle of the night, which is a pretty easy shift, and that is yeah.
So how often?
Yeah, because I saw a TikTok. I was looking at your TikTok last night of the night shift. So is there like, so I'm assuming you stay it from 12 to 3, and then somebody else will take a shift from 3 till what, 3 till 6, and then you just keep sailing?
Yep.
That surprised me because I just assumed you would anchor at night.
Well, when you're in the middle of the Indian Ocean and the water is 1,000 meters deep, I don't really think you have
That
that
is
much
True, I
energy.
didn't think about
Oh,
that.
okay, so like now, like I'm assuming you're always on like a mapped out route, right? Like, are you always kind of like knowing like where you're going next, or no, not really?
You mean every time we go to another place, we know exactly where the next place we're gonna go to is?
No, I kind of mean like the route to get there. Like I'm thinking like, oh, okay, if I'm driving across the country, right, I have a GPS route. Now, what's like the boat equivalent to that?
GPS, autopilot. You steer course, a heading, which is just degrees, and it goes one way, and you can change that. And depending on which way the wind is forecasted, you can turn, tack, all super hard stuff to explain. But yeah, I guess it's kind of like driving a car, except you can go in a straight line for 15 days if you wanted to.
What's
Wow.
like what do you think like the average speed like say like you're on your night shift and like you're sailing. What's like the average speed you think you're going?
Average speed would have to be 7 nautical miles an hour. 7 nautical miles an hour, I think, which translates to I don't know exact conversion rate to miles per hour there. It's not fast at all. It's not fast at all.
So I guess that's probably why it takes
It's
15
probably
days to
run
get across.
faster. Exactly.
That's crazy.
I feel like I wouldn't have the patience for that. Like if we left one place and we were heading somewhere else, and my parents were like, "Yeah, it's gonna be 45 days till we reach the place,"
Okay.
I'd be like, "Okay, well, I'm just gonna swim."
You've never gone 45 days though, right?
No, no. Longest has been max a month.
Still 30
Still,
days,
that's
bro.
crazy.
That's
I
crazy.
I don't think I'd be able to do that.
Okay, so now you're doing this whole thing with your family, right? And I'm sure like you guys have definitely probably gotten like really close. Now, I can imagine if my family went on a boat and I know you have siblings and I have siblings, I think I might honestly throw one of them off like after like a week or two. So like how has been like that been?
Um, you got to be good at resolving conflict. You have your own separate spaces. You respect each other's spaces. If I fight with my brother or sister, normally the conflict doesn't last more than 2 hours because we know that it's petty. There's no point, and we're gonna have to see each other within the next 30 minutes if we want to come out of our rooms.
Totally. So I guess
Yeah,
there's really no like
there's no escape from
honestly
resolving it.
then maybe like that does help you like grow because it's like you probably realize like how petty stuff is because not like I can just
Yeah.
get in my car and like leave like
Yeah,
That's interesting. Do you feel like you've grown like as a person having to like just be constantly sailing? Like what do you think the biggest lesson you've learned is?
Everyone tells me I look older than I am. Everyone tells me I look from 17 to 20 years old. I don't know if I act that. Maybe I do. Biggest lesson I've learned though, I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot, I'll tell you. And I couldn't tell you what exactly I've learned differently from you guys because I've never really been to a public school. And I haven't really experienced a lot of normal interactions.
So you're homeschooled, I'm assuming, right? Or boat schooled, right?
Yeah, my mother. My mother teaches me. Yeah.
That's like we so I do homeschool as well. I'm a sophomore in high school. I do it from my bedroom, obviously, not like a boat. But like so like when you're like taking tests like in the middle of the ocean, I mean that's pretty cool. I'm not even gonna lie. Like this is actually something I was wondering. Does it seem more glamorous than it actually is?
Unfortunately, I don't think. Well, it's you. There's hard times and there's good times, and in the good times it's great, and in the bad times obviously it's bad. I don't think it's as glamorous as it looks and as fun as I make it out to be in my videos, which is probably not good, but I just try. I show the downsides. Mm.
I did see one that I was talking with Josh about the other day. So Josh like hates bugs. Like I hate bugs, but
Ugh.
Josh hates bugs. And we were looking at that one TikTok of like that one where like the bug got into your food. Josh, could you do that?
No, that's.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a boat, so I've experienced. I mean, there's obviously lots of.
You have-
It's not the
yeah,
same
yeah,
though.
yeah,
It's like I'm not trying to say it's the same
Yeah, yeah,
at
yeah.
all. But yeah, no, bugs freak me out.
Oh, this is a question actually. Have you ever seen a water snake?
Yeah, seen tons of water snakes. Seen dead water snakes too.
Have you ever gotten bitten by a water snake?
He'd be dead if he got bitten by a water snake.
Not necessarily.
Yeah, I don't think the water snakes I've run into are not very. I think they're very harmful. The ones I've run into. So no, I haven't been bit by a water snake. A friend of mine had a water snake in his boat in his engine, which wasn't very fun.
Oh,
Yeah.
did he have to like go get it out?
I think it swam out the hole it came in through. I can't remember actually.
So I'm assuming you've met like really cool people along the way of like traveling from these islands to islands. Have you ever gone to one country and then come back to that country in these 6 years, or has it been all but just new places?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I've been to Australia twice. I've been to Fiji I think 3 times. We've done a lot of the same places, but there's always new stuff to learn because I was in Australia like in 2017, and I went back to Australia all of last year basically, and I like learned so much more.
Where in Australia did you go?
So from from the top, east, northeast, from the like Gold Coast, all the way underneath around to basically the exact same spot at the top
Okay.
on the west.
So were you like did you go into Sydney at all?
Yep, I spent a few days there. Unfortunately, we had to leave there quite quick because we had a weather window to get to. But I definitely would have wanted to spend more time there.
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely.
I went to Sydney like 3 years ago and I just thought it was awesome. Did you enjoy your time there?
Yeah, it's a cool place.
So when you arrive in new places, do you stay in an Airbnb or a rental while you're there, or do you stay on the boat like in the marina?
I live on a sailboat full time, but I stay in Airbnbs. That doesn't sound very smart, but no, I stay on the boat the full time.
Because I mean, I've seen on your Instagram you do lots of like scootering and stuff like that, which I think is so cool. That just like makes me wonder if you would stay like in the country you're staying in, or if you stay in the water.
No, we have a dinghy, so we can go into land whenever we want to.
You know, a lot of these questions are coming from people that have been on a boat for like a few hours at a time. So
Yeah.
like 6 years on it probably is that's just insane.
Yeah. So we always wrap up our episodes with one final question, and that is, what do you think personally is the most misunderstood thing about teenagers?
Most misunderstood thing about teenagers? Ah, most misunderstood. I've never thought about this question. We're smarter than we look, but we're not. Yeah, no, I've seen some pretty.
Okay. Then let me ask you this. I guess this is more niche to what you do. What do you think the most misunderstood thing about living on a sailboat is from an outside view?
Yeah.
So that's a good question. And I have a good answer for that. The most misunderstood thing about living on a sailboat, that to outsiders, is it looks like the perfect life. It is not the perfect life for a teenager my age living on a sailboat full time. I have a lot of mental issues. I don't have any friends right now. I've one friend, and then my family is my friends. You If I didn't do social media, I'd have terrible social interactions. I'd probably be super awkward. Yeah, it's not an easy life, but
But do you think it's worth it?
you make it work if you're tough. Not at my age. If I were 15 years old and I'd lived in a house until this age and moved on to sailboat now, I've built so many relationships already, probably with friends at school and stuff like that. I don't think I'd be able to. That'd be tough.
Sweet, that's a good answer.
Yeah.
Well, if you guys want to follow any of it, Finn or his family's journeys, that'll be all the first link in the description, his TikTok, all of that. Thank you, Finn, for coming on and sharing a little bit of the perspective of what it's like to live on a sailboat.
Yeah.
For all of our listeners, if you guys made it to the end of this episode and you didn't download like we said in the beginning, go ahead and hit that button. If you guys are watching on YouTube, subscribe, like, and comment. That's another Saturday in the books. That's a wrap.
That's a wrap.